That's bright.
We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. With us, Dr. Sekou Franklin and Gicola Lane, both with Community Oversight Now. We're talking about issues facing Metro Police Department. The main one we're discussing here is the Oversight Committee, which looks like at this point it's on track still, unless the state Supreme Court becomes involved, to go, and you'll be voting on it if you live in Davidson County on November 6th, I believe. So that's where it looks right now. And it's moving forward, even though there was a challenge to that. We've got John, who waited through the break. John, good morning. Hi, John.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Who's
sir.
this?
Hey, it's Nick. Go ahead, sir. Are you there? You're on the air. Go ahead.
I don't care if I'm on the air or not. I'm looking for some information on outpatient knee replacement. I found it on the internet.
Well, we'll put you on hold. I don't know how you ended up getting called here. That's all right. You got the, unless either of you have questions. Yeah, that's all right. We can't answer that for you now, but we'll try to get some info for you back in the control room. Hey, I asked the FOP about this the other day, and I'm wondering what your take is with the idea of the body cameras, police body cams. Good idea?
Go ahead. I've been kind of neutral personally on the police body cams. Oversight Now, Community Oversight Now, I believe has been at least neutral and hasn't taken a position. Okay. Various organizations have taken positions on the body cameras. My personal opinion, this is Sekou Franklin, not anyone else, is that we have to be careful that body cameras are not used for another MMPD expenditure. And we also have to be careful about First Amendment protections. For example, if body cameras are being used to investigate domestic complaints and their children in the house, or residents in Nashville who may be unauthorized or undocumented residents will be used to, for example, enhance ICE or robust immigration. So I think that those are the meat and guts of how body camera policy have to be addressed, and they may be addressed right now. I just have not been involved in the body camera debate, quite frankly. But there was a body camera task force that I thought did a good job, and I would say refer back to. I was just wondering, because it seemed like some of the body camera and the movement to get that passed here in Metro and the cost, and it still hasn't happened, came about again in reaction to some of these incidents that we saw happening.
That was one of our demands last year, as far as the Justice for Jockeys Coalition, and I'm also a part of that coalition. And you know, I think it was just a way to slow the process down, honestly. And it's only going to be as effective as the accountability mechanism and the policy that shapes the cameras that's being used. Right.
So, but I mean, do you think cameras, if these officers have been wearing them in any of these shooting incidents, would be a huge plus one way or the other? I'm not convinced. I'm kind of like with him, just about how, you know, I'm kind of ambivalent to it. It's a ton of money, and all these other issues come into play about how it's going to work. And is it really going to, you know, give you clearer answers on what happens in some of these shootings, when half the time we see around the country they have their cameras turned off?
Well, that's what just happened in Memphis, you know, and the officers were fired. So, like I said, I think it depends on the mechanism that supports and upholds the policy behind the cameras.
I guess if you had a positive policy that works, you'd be in favor of the idea. You were. That's part of the idea, right?
And not $50 million, which was asked for by Chief Anderson. I don't think that's
a chunk of change. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And that's one of the things that the COB would do. The COB would. That's why you need a multi-level policy, because if there are body cameras in place, then the COB, half of what the COB would have is policy review power. So the COB can look at, you know, should body cameras be used to investigate complaints where there are children in the house? Should body cameras be used to look at issues such as there may be undocumented residents in the house? Do you really need $50 million for, but where's that money really going to? Which is what the kind of whispers in the community are really talking about. Where's that money really going to? So the COB would look at the policy review, how the money is actually being spent on body cameras, and so it could actually enhance how body camera initiatives are.
Okay. And will the Oversight Committee be able to look at salaries for officers?
I don't think the oversight board is
whether or not they're paid enough, or
I mean, it could. That's something that hasn't been discussed, but it just hasn't come up in any. What's been discussed by officers who have talked to us is they're adamant that when it comes to internal affairs investigations, there are real abuses and complaints that some officers are being charged with. Their argument is that, however, the internal affairs has been weaponized by Chief Anderson to carry out grievances, real or perceived. Now, whether or not those are valid concerns, I'm just explaining what officers have told us. So their argument is that when it comes to internal affairs being used to carry out personal grievances that are not justified, they need another pathway of due process to counter that. And so the officers who have talked to us want the COB for that. We have not had any discussions about salaries with officers.
Okay, I don't know. I was just thinking, because we talk about how the money and the pay and how they're shorthanded. So as we approach the election, I think you both said that you think there's probably the votes there. I mean, you're optimistic that you think it would pass. I haven't seen any polling on it. If it doesn't pass, what does that mean for the city?
Well, frankly, it'd be an indictment on the city. It would say the city is not really ready for a true racial democracy. Bradley has talked about issuing an executive order, but the executive order that he's talking about would be watered down. It would be an executive order that's signed off by the police chief, and it would fall into the black hole of inertia that all the other stuff is situated in, such as OPA and other kind of procedures. So the executive order that Bradley's talking about would probably be ineffective. If it doesn't pass, it would be an indictment on Nashville. It would be an indictment on whether or not Nashville believes in racial democracy. It would be, I think, an indictment on Nashville if it doesn't pass. It would actually worsen safety, worsen community safety, because the COB is a tool for enhancing community safety. So I think if it doesn't pass, Nashville will be at an impasse. In terms of it moving forward as an it city in the 21st century. It would send a message to the entire nation that Nashville is not ready for a true fundamental democracy at this moment in time. So it has to pass as a way to send a message to the entire nation that Nashville is ready for 21st century democracy.
Because if it doesn't, it really forgoes national research about how this improves community relations, improves democracy, improves citizenship where there is abuse of power and the need for accountability. Anyone who are data scientists or look closely at any type of civilian review know that the way that this is proposed, it truly can change the landscape of positive policing in Nashville.
Can I make one point?
Sure.
The main force that's holding up the COB from passing, assuming it survives the Supreme Court challenge, is Mayor Bradley. He's a singular figure right now that if he were to endorse the COB as is, can guarantee its passage. If it doesn't pass right now, it won't be because of the FOP. It won't be because of the FOP's muscle. It will be solely 100% at the feet of Mayor David Bradley.
So he could, all right.
Because he's going to speak to a constituency about the new Nashville, about the it city, that only he can speak to. So if it doesn't pass, it's an indictment on David Bradley.
Let's take a call from Vicky just before we have to wrap things up. Vicky, good morning. Hi, Vicky.
Hi.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I want to say, if y'all can get these soccer fields, y'all can have this oversight board. And number one, if everybody loved me and Daniel and Jacquees and Miss Sheila, they will get out and vote.
There you go. Well, I mean, yeah, we're getting a soccer field, aren't we? You know, that's, well, I mean, yeah, and some people will say that. The big picture is whether the mayor and the power that he has, and who knows what changes may come between now and the vote. It's supposed to benefit everyone, white and black. I don't care what color you are in this city if something like this passes. Obviously, some of these officer-involved shootings, you have the racial component and all of this. But the idea is to make it fair and equal and have an open grievance for everyone, correct?
Absolutely. I think everyone has had, we've experienced that there's been a multitude of races, a multitude of ages who have had complaints against the Metro Nashville Police Department.
Yeah, it's not just about African Americans or race. It's people who are homeless who may face. It's about women, for example, at the nexus of domestic violence complaints who need law enforcement to assist in that. It's about undocumented residents, for example, who may face robust policing in this new era, this new political climate, who need oversight. It's about we're finding that many LGBTQ youth who may be discarded from their homes and their communities are on the street, and they become their interaction with law enforcement enhances. So the oversight board and this Pushman oversight board, it's the truest representation of the diversity of Nashville. It's not just about African Americans, but it has the ability to be responsive to multiple of concerns and needs. Again, we've had complaints from whites about police misconduct as well. So quite a few complaints, in fact. So it's, yeah.
Gotcha. I just wanted to make that clear, you know, as people decide what they're going to do. Listen, Sekou Franklin, thank you for coming on. So it was a pleasure. Appreciate it. So we got the word out. Gicola Lane, thank you also, both for coming on, both of them with Community Oversight Now. I guess you would say as we approach November, you know, make sure one way or the other you get out and vote. And we'll continue to follow this issue, but I thank you both for coming on today.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate that. The more we educate folks, the better they can make an informed opinion when they go to polling places. Folks, we'll be back with a programming note right after this. Stay with us.